afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us at our Prestige PEO webinar series. My name is Carrie Kaiser. I'm the Marketing Operations Manager here at Prestige PEO. And today's webinar will kick off our open enrollment season as we walk you through the recent enhancements to our Prestige PEO renewal portal. Joining me today is Kathleen Sullivan, Benefits Account Manager here at Prestige PEO. And our webinar audience members are muted by default. However, we encourage you to use the chat feature to pose any questions you may have. All questions will be addressed at the end of the webinar if time permits. And if we do not respond to your question, we will reach out to you after the webinar concludes. Lastly, the webinar is being recorded and will be made available on the broker page of our Open Enrollment Resource Center located at prestigepeo.com/open enrollment. And now I'd like to turn the mic over to Kathleen Sullivan. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thanks, Carrie. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, great. Okay, so my name is Kathleen Sullivan. I'm one of the benefit account managers here at Prestige. I want to thank you for inviting me to talk today. I am hoping, I appreciate the opportunity. I am hoping that the information I go over today will be valuable to you. So I'm going to go over the open enrollment and what to expect. I'm going to go over plan changes specifically for Aetna and some of the new plans that we're offering, and then take you through the renewal portal so that everybody knows exactly how this works and how to support your clients. So thank you. All right, first, we're going to talk a little bit about plan changes. Oxford, good news this year. For Oxford, there are no major plan changes. There is one small change, and that really affects the Oxford New York platform. So for outpatient mental health on the Oxford New York platform, those copays are going to be the specialist copays. There was a time period where they returned to the primary visit copay, but now they will be specialist copays. That's really the only big change on Oxford. United Healthcare national plans, I do not have all the information for. So that's more to come for the UHC national plans, and we'll get that information out to you. Aetna, we have several new plans in different areas, and some plan changes, some positive, some very positive plan changes where plans are actually enhanced. And we're going to go into that in detail. So that's the first thing we're going to get to. And we'll start talking about Aetna right now. Okay, so first we're going to look at the New York plans, and this is the New York Open Access Managed Choice platform. So as we look at this plan, there are very small changes on plans 18 and plan 19. So small changes meaning copay for specialist went from $20 to $25, so very minor. And then ambulance, the ambulance, that's now has a $400 copay, where it had no copay before. So two small changes. Slightly bigger changes on all of the New York Open Access Managed Choice plans, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Those for out-of-network, the deductibles and the out-of-pocket max for family went down. So that's a plan enhancement. That's a little better than before. And what it changed to, you can see on the screen, hopefully. It was 2.5 times. So now it's just 2 times. And we're going to see that on other things too with Aetna. But that's a very positive change. Okay. All right. Aetna New York EPO, right? So the elect choice plans, the EPO, there are just 2 changes, and that's on plans 24 and plan 25. And again, it is the ambulance. So ambulance copays went to $400. All right, bigger stuff now. So the Aetna national plans. We'll start with the national OAMC plans. And the first thing I want you guys to know is we have 2 new Open Access Managed Choice plans. We have 3 new EPO Elect Choice plans for the national platform. And then we have 5 new Open Choice plans. So Open Choice being Aetna's biggest network. That's the network. That's the plans that we put in when we have a group and we have a couple of employees, maybe in a Montana or in a Idaho or a Alaska, and we need a plan with their biggest network, that's the open choice. So in the renewal portal, there are 2 plans with Aetna on the national platform that are being sunsetted. The first one is this open access managed choice plan 1. So I know this is very small and you can't see it, but we're going to jump so you can see the changes that I want to point out. But plan 1 is being sunsetted. Okay, changes on plan 3 and plan 8. So open access managed choice, this is the in and out of network. Plan 3 has a change in the individual and family out-of-pocket max. So that jumped to $4,000 and $8,000. Plan 8 also, the out-of-pocket max goes to $7,600 and $15,200. And then we have a small change on ambulance and urgent care, ambulance and emergency care for plan 8, and the RX coverage on plan 8. And then we have also plans 5, 6, 7, and 8, the out-of-network deductibles and out-of-pocket maxes for family all went down. So those all went down. So that's good news, good coverage. Plans 8 and 9, the RX coverage also changed for. So I want to make sure everybody knows that. When I mentioned that plan 1 is being sunsetted, I should mention that plan 2 is a very good alternative for that. And there's also a new plan, 71, that's a good alternative for plan 1 as well. So let's look at the 2 new plans here. We have plan 71 and plan 72. So national, these are national open access managed choice plans, both within and out of network coverage, that big platform that we have. 71 is a very good plan. So this looks like a pretty rich plan. If you look at the plan, you see there's no deductible, $4,000 out-of-pocket max. It's a very small deductible out of network, $500 and $1,000. So that looks like a really nice addition for clients that are looking for a little bit of a better plan. Plan 72 is interesting. So plan 72 is a cost sharing plan, has an $8,000 deductible, so a big deductible. And the deductible applies for most things. There's just a handful of things that are covered right away. So, virtual visits, which are always covered right away. Primary visits are going to be covered right away. Lab services, minute clinics, walk-in clinics, and virtual care. So those things, and generic drugs. So those things are going to be covered right away, but everything else is going to be subject to that big deductible. So it's an interesting plan. I think it's going to be a very good price point, might be a good option for some of the clients. Okay. All right. The national EPO plans. So Aetna's national EPO plans with the Elect Choice Network. We have 3 new plans there, and we have 1 plan 13, being sunsetted this time. So just a couple of changes, and we'll go over them. For plans 11 and 12, first plan 11, the out-of-pocket max went up a little bit. 6,000 went to 6,500 and 12,000 went to 1,300. So 13,000. So that's one change on plan 11. Then the co-pays, office visit, and specialist, those went down on both plans 11 and 12. So plan enhancements here. They went down by $5. 40 went to 35, 80 went to 70, and then on 12, 35 went to 30, and 70 went to 60. So that's nice. You can see them right there on the screen. Ambulance and emergency care did go up on plan 12 to a $500 copay from $350. And then one change on plan 41, which is a pretty popular plan, plan 41. That has a $300 copay after the deductible for outpatient surgery, which didn't have before. Okay. These are the new plans. So national plans EPO, we have 3 new plans, 73, 74, and 75. So in looking at it, 73 is a good plan. Also kind of interesting, right? There's no deductible in the network. The out-of-pocket max is a little higher than we see all the time, right? And then you see as you go down the plan, there's copays for everything, including an inpatient hospital copay up to $2,000. So decent plan, 73. 74, I think, is an excellent plan. We're going to find a lot of room for selling this plan for sure. This has a small deductible in-network, $750 and $1,500. And then you can see there's 10% coinsurance. There's nice low copays, 25 and 50, all the way down that plan with prescription coverage. So I think we'll see a lot of fits for plan 74. And then 75 is really the in-network version of plan 72 that we just talked about. So that one with that big deductible of 8,000 where just those handful of things are covered right away. That's what plan 75 looks like. So it's the same exact thing, except this one doesn't have out-of-network coverage. So you're going to see an even better price point on this plan. Okay. National HDHP plans, so the high deductible health plans. Very little changes on this. We're going to see that on plans 14 and plan 38. The out-of-pocket, the deductibles went up just a little bit, right, to $3,300 and $6,600. And then on plan, that's on plan 14. And then on plan 38, it went to $3,300 and $6,600. Same thing. There is listed in that red, so standard virtual office visits, teledoc, that consult fee on the high deductible plans is $56 right now. Effective January 1st, it's going to jump to $58. So that's a very minor change. I must feel funny mentioning it because I don't think anybody will bring that up. But there's also a small change on plan 14 for ambulance. That's going to be a $350 copay after deductible, and a small change on plan 38 for outpatient surgery. Again, $300 copay after deductible. So that's it for the changes on the high deductible plans. These are very sellable plans. Okay. All right. Now the open choice plans. So the national plans, where these are the plans that we put in place, right, with the biggest network, the big Aetna network, where if you have employees that live, like I said, in Montana, in Idaho, or in Alaska, Missouri, there's a handful of states where the open access managed choice and the elect choice networks don't really reach. They're not robust enough. So when you have a situation like that, when you're writing a group and you just have a few employees in one of those areas, then you can put in place one of these plans and try and match it up to the plans that you're offering to the other employees. That's where we've seen this used most often, right? The open choice, this open choice network. So not a lot of changes on these plans. You can see that plan 45 and 17 both have that change with the family deductible and the out-of-pocket max going down. And then on plan 17, the out-of-pocket max went up a little bit, $7,600 and $15,200. And then the RX coverage copays went up a little bit on 17 as well. And then a minor change on plan 46, also with the deductible going up a little bit. Okay. So these are good. We have 5 new ones though. So for the open choice network, that just became a lot. You just have a lot more options now. And this is a really good range of plans. So we have 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. These are all open choice plans, PPO plans, in and out of network. They range from a $300 copay up to the $7,150 copay. And one plan is another high deductible health plan. You can see the plan 80 gives you another high deductible health plan option for the open choice plans. We only had one before, so now we have more. Okay. Okay. Florida, the HNO, The Florida HNO only plans, no really the tiniest change. Ambulance ride went to $350 copay, so nothing big there. And these are those plans that are, if your group is in Florida and the employees are in Florida, that smaller network that they have access to. All right, so new stuff now. We have 5 new plans, great options in Arizona. So this is brand new for us, and hopefully you're going to find spaces where this is going to work for you. But we have these 5 new plans in Arizona. The deductibles range from $500 and $1,000 all the way up to $6,500 and $13,000. So really good plans. They go 87 to 91. 91, of course, is the high deductible health plan. So we got a good options here now in Arizona, brand new. We also have brand new plans in Utah. So we have 6 new plans in Utah. I like the name, Utah Intermountain. And then you can see these plans both in and out of network again. We have 2 high deductible health plans here, $3,500 and a $5,000. So you can see 85 and 86 are high deductible health plans. And then good range of coverage again between the other 4. All pretty rich plans, $300 deductible, $600, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. It's good options. Okay, California. So this is brand new, and we have 14 new plans in California. So where we had to move groups onto a Kaiser, if they had employees in California or something that was more competitive, now we hopefully can be competitive in that California market. So these first 5 are HMOs, and you can see they're broken down for Northern California and Southern California. So these are the first 5 HMO plans. Then we have 4. Just want to make sure you guys can see my screen because it did blink. Kara, can you let me know if you can see my screen? Okay, it seems to be working okay now. Okay, so we have 4 California plans with the Aetna Value Network. So these 4 are the Aetna Value Network, and again, they are broken down North California and South California. Okay, Southern California. They don't call it South California. Sorry. And then these last 5 California plans, these are the last of the new plans that we're offering. These are all centered around Southern California. So these 5 HMOs, and you can see them. First one having no deductible at all, then $500 and $1,000 cost sharing plans. Good options. Hopefully they're going to be competitive, and they're going to help us keep everything under our master plans, which is really works the best for our groups. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about on new plans is a brand new product that we're bringing to you called Aflac's Ben Extend. Now, this is a little different. We didn't have this before. This is employer paid Aflac for employees. We're going to have a webinar on it on August 27th. So I don't want to steal their thunder. They're going to talk through this plan, but it is a plan I think that's going to have a lot of traction with our employers. A lot of times employers want to find one more thing they can give to the employees. The price points on this plan are excellent. And it's really a combination of critical illness, accident, and hospital all in one. And that's all I'm telling you until you come to the webinar. Okay. Okay. So let's start talking about open enrollment. So what to expect, right? Carrier renewals are finalized, and they're going to be communicated to brokers on or near tomorrow. So that's our aim. It may be Thursday, but the aim is for tomorrow for renewals to be available for brokers in the portal. And we're going to communicate renewals to clients directly September 2nd. So we've got a little time for the brokers to look through and see what their clients have. Decisions for plans offered and contribution strategy, that's due back from the clients September 24th. Then on the back side here, we're going to be setting up the portals for the employee emails to go out. and that's going to happen between September 18th and the end of September. And then we have 2 waves set up for employees, right? First wave is October 2nd to the 17th. Second wave is October 9th to the 24th. So depending on your groups, the employees may be in wave 1 or wave 2, but that's the timing on that. We do open enrollment meetings. So the benefit specialists, the benefit account managers, in coordination with the new business development managers, we all work together to bring the client the best experience. So especially on the larger groups, it is helpful if clients ask for enrollment meetings, right? And we have a PowerPoint presentation where we can go over things. We can let employees know changes that their company's made and go over anything new. That's helpful because when you have the big groups, a lot of the employees will have questions. So we can answer those questions in a one-shot deal if we do a meeting for those clients, okay? We do not do meetings for every single client. That would be impossible. But definitely for the bigger clients and the ones that are asking for that, we can do that. All right. Employee decisions, that's the second half of open enrollment. So when the employees actually go through and see their plans, those are due at the end of October. October 24th is the end of that wave. So depending on which wave they're in, they're either elections are due the 17th or the 24th. Okay. Okay. The Open Enrollment Resource Center. So there are a couple of phases to open enrollment. Part of it is the client contacts and the decisions from the employers, and then part of it is the employees. And then, of course, brokers, you are a very important part of this. And all 3 of you have access to this Open Enrollment Resource Center, which is our website where there's a lot of great information there, and you can check it out, including this webinar. We'll get there after it's done, so that when you have questions, you can look there, okay? The first phase of open enrollment is what we're about to do. So that's the delivery of the renewals, right? And we deliver that first to brokers and then to clients. And we do that through our renewal portal. So you have access to that renewal portal and you can see your clients. That's the first phase. And then the second phase is after those decisions are made and we set up our system, the employees actually go through and make their elections, change their dependents and plans if they want to. Okay. The broker advantage. So this portal is meant to help the brokers support their own business, which is, of course, supporting their clients' businesses, right? So we're going to look closer at a few slides, but in short, we listened to the feedback last year and made some improvements. Okay, you can now see the employee census right here in the portal. We simplified the menus. We built comparison tools so that you can compare one plan back and see what it would look like if you change things. We gave brokers the ability to see all of their groups with the increases right on the dashboard and to track status. So you can see total premium versus new total premium right on your dashboard without having to go into each client and build menus. And then one little thing we did, which might be bigger to you guys, is we put the client name on everything. So I know that was an issue. So if you were to download the renewal, the client name is going to be on there. If you were to download menus, the client name will be on those menus, so that you can see which one you're working on, which is not easy when you have a bunch of clients. So just want to make sure that everything you download will be identifiable to the clients, okay? So you can work in those grids. Now to new brokers, that won't make any sense yet, but it will when we go through the portal and you see some of those things, okay? Okay, so let's get started. First thing is you got to register, right? So that you can get to the portal. If you're an existing broker, you're just going to update your password. If you're a new broker, these are the instructions to the left, okay? And you can pull this up in that resource center online. So you can get this information there too. Let's take a look. So let's assume you got in, that you registered or you got your new password and you got into the portal. This is what it's going to look like. So you got into the portal. Now you're going to see your clients, and hopefully you notice that this is new, right? So right across the way, you can see who the broker is. You can see the current cost. You can see the new cost. Now that's total premium versus total premium. And you can see the percentage increase. So right there, without logging into the client, before you hit review, you can see that information, which I think was a big deal. And I'm very glad we were able to get that done. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Once you did click review and you got to a client dashboard, this is what it looks like. So not that dissimilar from last year. This is what the top of the page looks like. Okay. But underneath, we added some things. So underneath, we have this section where the total current premium for medical, dental, and vision is broken out. So in this top section there, right here, where you see in red, you can see what the current monthly premium is and the new monthly premium. That's total premium, so you can get an idea of the increases, and then dental and vision are also listed there. Okay, back to the main dashboard. Back at the top, the next step you'd likely want to take is to click Create New Contribution Models, right? Because before we look at everything else that the portal provides for you, you're going to want to see the client and what plans they currently offer and what their costs are and things like that. So you would be clicking this Create New Contribution Model that just highlighted in red. Now, what's important for you on this is, even though you went in as the broker first and you clicked that button, it does not change the view for the client. It also doesn't change the status for the client. So when the client goes in, they will still see this welcome to this year's open enrollment season and create new contribution model, even though you were already in there and saw it. And the status for the client will still say not started until they themselves go in and click that. That's another change. It was a little confusing not knowing who maybe went in, and maybe the client never went into their renewal portal. Now we'll know. Okay. Okay, so you're going to click that Create New Contribution Model, and then it's going to take you to this summary page that looks like this. Okay. Now on this page, you see the classes down to the on the far left side: owners, supervisors, and all employees. You can see that in that box. So if we click on one of those, like the all employees class, then it's going to take us to this. Oh, sorry. The all employees class, you can see, hang on, I just want to tell you one more thing. So right under this, right under that page that you see, hopefully you can still see it because it did freak out a little bit for me. But right under that is the new employee census. Okay. So this is the employee census. Thanks, Joe. That's going to be right under the summary page. Now, I think this is important. This is a big deal for us, right? When we look at the renewal grid, we're going to see what plans they offer, and we're going to see counts for employees: 2 employees on plan 4, 3 employees on plan 6. But very often clients and brokers want to know who those employees are, right? They want to know, is it the CEO who's on plan 4 as a family? Because that makes a difference. So this census being available right there and offered to, you can export it to Excel. You can see that, export to Excel right up in the top left corner. This is going to be a help, I think. There's a couple things you can see. You see the employee's name. You can see the class they're in, the benefit group they're in. You can see the plans they have. And then all the way to the right, you can also see the state they're in. Now that's important, right? When we're talking about some of the plans, you need to know if you have employees in Montana, if you're offering Aetna plans and things like that. So that's one more feature. You can see that census and see those things, which I think is very helpful. All right, so let's look at the review the group offerings. Let's see what's actually offered in this group. So we were on that summary page, and now we clicked on the all employees class to the left, and this is what it looks like. So you can see plan 3, there's 2 singles covered on that and 1 single parent. And then plan 4, nobody's on plan 4. But plan 9, 26 people are on. And if we see, we scroll all the way to the bottom, you see all the plans offered. So all the vision, all the dental, all the medical plans. That's how it works. You can also see on here what the current employer contribution is and what the current employee contribution is. We didn't have that last year. We always showed the employer, and then we showed both employer and employee when they made decisions for renewal, but you couldn't see it as easily as you can this year that the employee cost is right there. So again, veterans will recognize how helpful that is. First-time users probably should have been there all along, so not such a big deal to you. Okay. Now from this page, now that we know which plans are offered in the group, I want to show you the other things that we have. So you would click at the top where it says Pawnee Parks and Recreation. That's going to take you back, or the home button to the left. You can do that too. And that's going to take you back to this home screen, because I want to show you the left-hand side where it says dashboard, right? So right under that is full rate menus. If you click on full rate menus, you're going to get a page that looks like this. So now on the medical benefit menus, for example, you can click on either PDF version or Excel for 2025. And then you're going to get a button that looks like this. Now, when you click inside the box, you can choose the plans you want. So you can say plans 1, 2, and 3, or you can just hit the red button that says download all, and you'll get the full rate menus for all the plans for that platform, right? So if they have Oxford, New York, that's a platform. That's going to be 18 plans you'd see by doing download all, okay? So I think that's helpful. And then if you just want to see a couple of plans because you want to run a few plans against what they currently have and see if those are less expensive, you can just pick the ones you want to do right there. So I think this is helpful. The menus look like this. Okay, so this is our new version of the menu. So a little more simple. You can see the in-network on top of the out-of-network. The out-of-network generally didn't have a lot of information except for the coinsurance, because everything was deductible in coinsurance. So we saved some space. We made this very clear, a little easier to read, okay? These are the new menus. All right, the next thing on the left-hand side is the rate menu comparisons. So this is another brand new feature for the renewal portal. And what this does is it enables you to pick a plan that you currently offer and then compare a few plans back to it with the enrollment. So for example, when you click on one of those, you're going to see the top part is going to ask you which plan, what's the current plan you want to compare to. So in this case, we chose plan 4, right? And then we chose a few other plans to compare back to it. And then it's going to look like this. So the first column is the plan that they had. And then the other columns are the plans we chose to compare back. But you can see the counts, right? So we have 1 enrollee for employee, 1 employee and spouse, 1 employee and children. Now for this purpose, we just did 1, but that could be 26 employees and 12 families, and it would still calculate it monthly and annually for you right there, okay? Okay, so let's get into the modeling part. So this is really the heart of how this renewal portal is. Remember, this is a way for us to communicate with you, the brokers, and the clients, and for them to communicate back to us and you to support them. So you have access to this because you can support them, and you can build models in this renewal portal for your client and save them. So it's important for you to know how it works and also be able to answer their questions as they come. So you see the 3 blue buttons across the top, right? Add in term plans, set max medical contribution, and contribution shortcuts. That's the first one I want to talk about. So contribution shortcuts, we came up with this a little while ago because some clients have a very simple process for this, right? If they're not adding any plans, they're not terminating any plans, and they maybe just want to make a quick adjustment to their stuff, they would do this contribution shortcut. And if they click on that, this is what they see. So they can keep the same contribution percentage that they were doing before. They can keep the same dollar amount they were doing before. So if they want to freeze the dollar amount for their contribution that they have right now and then apply that to the new rates, they can. A lot of clients just want to split it, right? They want to do 50-50. Give me half the increase, give the employees half the increase. That's the third button. And then the generous clients, and the ones we love, say assign 100% of the increase to the employer. So that's the last button. So, and that's how that's going to work. So if you click one of those, then it's going to populate the whole grid for you. So it's going to do exactly what it said. It's either going to split it 50-50 or keep the same percentage. And then that's going to run through the whole grid. So that whole class, and for all of that employees, you'll see it goes through and they can see all of it, even the dental and the vision. So when it's contribution shortcut, it will do it for medical, dental, and vision. Okay. The next one I want you to look at is the add term plans, right? Add or terminate plans, the button all the way to the left, the blue one. If you're making changes, right, or you're doing a contribution strategy, I do want you to do that before you start putting in the contributions, right? Because those plans have to be in there. Now that won't work great with the contribution shortcuts because it can't keep the same percentage if that plan wasn't there before. It doesn't know what the contribution percentage was. So it doesn't work with that. But if it's any other strategy, then you're going to add the plans, add or terminate. And when you go in the portal and you hit add, you're going to be brought to a screen that looks like this. So you can click whichever plans you want to add, and then you just hit save changes. So pretty simple. That one's self-explanatory. You can do it for dental and vision also. There is a difference though. So if you want to terminate a plan, right, then you're going to uncheck the box. Now, if you decide you want to terminate a plan that has enrollment in it, right? So when we were looking at that grid before, we saw we had 2 people covered on plan 3, I think. If you got rid of plan 3 by unchecking that box, then you're going to get this pop-up that looks like this. And the reason you're going to get this pop-up is because we want to make sure that the employer count of employees stays the way it is. These are just estimating tools, right? We don't know exactly what it's going to cost the employer because employees can change plans if they want to when they go through. But for estimation purposes, I don't want to lose employees in the census. So if you uncheck plan 3, because you're going to terminate that plan, it's going to ask you where you want to move those employees just to keep the estimate working with the right count, right? These are just projected costs if everybody was to stay or to move. It will not move those employees to the new plan. This is just a tool for estimating, right? If you did get rid of a plan and there are employees on it, then they do have to go through the renewal portal and pick their own plan. They won't automatically be moved to whatever you put them in. But for estimation purposes, you would have to move them over right on this screen. So that the rest of that renewal count estimate stays with the right amount of employees, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, the next button is set the max medical contribution, right? So that's the middle button, set max medical. It's only medical, this one, but you can do it easy, right? So if you have a set amount that you want to do, you would click that button and you can put it in, 1,200, 1,600, 1,800, whatever it is. And then you can have that apply, okay? So you hit that set max contribution and then it populates the grid automatically. And it shows you the cost, but just for medical, you still have to scroll down and do the dental and the vision. Now, this is a good spot for me to remind you, brokers and clients, that when you're working in these, it will not save it unless you click that little green button to the right, to the top right corner that says Save Draft. There's also one at the bottom. So click that often. When you're working in here, you can always change things. You can always make edits until you decide finally and submit. Up until then, you can always do edits. But you will lose what you've done if you don't hit Save Draft. Okay. All right. The other way to enter your contribution amounts is just the normal way, right? So we have the percentage. So if you can take each plan and you can say, I'm going to do 80% of plan 3 for the single, and then maybe you're going to take that amount and apply that to couple, single parent, and family. So you would put that in the dollar side, which is fine. You can mix and match there. Or you can just do all dollar amounts, and you can do different amounts for each plan. So you're just going to click the little box to make sure it turns red with a check mark, and then it'll let you populate the box where the money belongs or the percentage belongs. Okay. Okay, this is a new feature. And remember, this is a communication tool. For open enrollment, we're having this webinar because communication is so important. We want to make sure you're informed. We want to make sure they're informed. We want to make sure we're going back and forth and everybody knows what everybody wants to do. So we added this HSA match form. So if your client has a high deductible health plan, if one of the plans they're offering to their employees is a high deductible health plan, then they're going to see this match form on the summary page. Now, not every client does a contribution to the HSA accounts, and they don't have to. But if they do, this is one way they can communicate it to us. So it would say, do you want to provide an employer match for HSA? If they say yes, then they're going to get this series of questions. It's not very many. Basically, they're asking how much do you want to contribute for employee only, employee and spouse, employee and children or family. And then it's going to ask what the timing is of that employer contribution. So some of our groups do a one-time annual contribution in January. So they front load their employees' accounts right in January. Some of our groups do the first or second pay period in the month, right? So whatever it is they're giving the employees annually, they break that down over 12 months and they give it to them in the first pay period every month or the second pay period every month, something like that. And then the other option is a lot of employers just have whatever their annual contribution is spread out across all payrolls in the year. All right, so that's the question for the timing. And those are the three choices you're going to have in there. If there's something else, some other configuration that the client wants to do, it's not that we can't do it. They just need to reach out to their specialist. But we try to stick to these three because those are the ones we handle the best in our system. Quarterly contributions are not, they're not easy for us to track or for the clients to track and things like that. All right, the last question is, should the employer contribution be prorated? So when we have employees who join coverage later in the year, sometimes the employer will give them the full contribution that they're giving the other employees, and sometimes they want to prorate it. So they would give the employee the equivalent of the contributions for just the months that they're covered. And that's one of the things that we can do. Okay. Reviewing your potential renewal costs. So now let's say we built a model. Okay, we did owners, supervisors, and all employees, and we figured out that estimated cost for the employer. Now this grid right here that you see, current total employer cost. This takes into consideration what the employer is contributing. Now earlier we knew total premium, right? So that's the total premium of what's being charged altogether. And we can see that now right on your dashboard, and we can see it in the other box. But this box right here, this summary box, gives you with the employer cost so that the contributions are taken into account. And you can really compare depending on what you do as far as your strategy. Okay. If we go back to the main page, the last model that you built is going to show at the top, and it's going to show the new company contribution versus the old company contribution and the total premiums and the employee costs right there. If you want to build another model, then in the top right corner, it says create new contribution model. So maybe you want to make one model where the employer is contributing 80%, and then you want to test it with different plans or the same plans and do a 70%. You can do that. You can have in here up to 3 models. Okay. You can also change the name of the model. That's new. But this is where you see the comparison. And up at the top, you can tell right now we're on model version 1 because that's the one that's up in the top. Each time you do that, you're going to have one of these summaries and you can see all the things that are there. Right there is where you change the name of the model. That's new. Sometimes people were putting in test, sometimes people were putting in default or things like that. We just wanted to be able to change the name of the model in case you changed what's in there, you want it to match so you know what you're doing. So that little pencil next to model version gives you the chance to change that name of the model. Just a minor, small thing. Okay, so submitting the renewal. Let's say the client's decided this is what they definitely want to do. They've gotten sign off. Sometimes you're talking to our client contacts. Sometimes those aren't the decision makers. And they've shared maybe that renewal with them and they've come back and they know which one they want now. So there's a couple ways for them to submit. And I do want you to know, brokers, while you can come in here and you can build models and you can help the clients and you can support, you cannot submit the renewal for them. They have to do that themselves. Benefit specialists can also help, and so can the benefit account managers. But you don't have the access to submit the contribution model. That has to come from the client, okay? So this is one spot where they can submit, right? This is the summary, and maybe they want to export a copy of it, although it'll stay in here and they'll have access to it. But they can submit from right here. They can also submit at the bottom of the census. There's another button, which is also on that summary page. So there's another green button. And then they can also submit from the main page, right? So this was the bottom of that main page. I know you could see the other one easier, but this is where that says, okay? Okay. All right, so we went through a lot of information. I know my friend Joe DeRuvo was on the webinar, so he may be answering questions as they come in through the chat. But at this point, I am through the information I wanted to go over today. So if there are any questions, Carrie or Joe, that you want to read out to me that we can answer right now.
Hi, Kathleen. Thank you so much. So we've been kind of addressing questions as they have been coming through, Joe and I, through the chat. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Great. Thank you so much.
Is there anything that you think would be helpful for everybody to hear? Is there any question like that might be?
Well, I think there were more like personalized individual questions.
Okay, good. Then not for everybody to hear.
Yeah. If anyone has anything that they want to ask now, please, chime in through the chat and we can address it. So here's where we have the Open Enrollment Resource Center posted. As mentioned before, we will be recording this, posting the recording there along with the presentation so you can review it. Don't see any questions coming through, so I just want to say thank you to Kathleen and to everyone for joining us today. As a reminder, we'll be posting that recording of the webinar there at the Open Enrollment Resource Center.